Why do they only mention chemical and biological? Why not nuclear or general warfare? They only specify two. Why?
Exactly. Why?
Well,
It's
what do they plan on? I mean, besides for starting World War III and all that, John brings up a good point. Why are they specifying only certain types of things? Are they also getting people prepared for a upcoming false flag event to be
Well,
used?
no, listen. What this says is that the Secretary of Defense is in control, in total and complete control of chemical and biological warfare. That means that if the president or the Secretary of Defense uh, thinks that it would be beneficial to launch a chemical attack or biological attack on a certain sector of resistors or the populace or a country or whatever, that they don't have to let the Congress know. They don't have to ask permission from anybody. They're going to do it because the Secretary of Defense has presidential authority. Okay? This is what we're talking about. Okay? Uh, Horrifying, it doesn't even begin to describe how troubling this is, how troubling this authority is. And by the way, we're talking about illegitimate authority that doesn't need to be recognized, should not be recognized because it is illegal. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Angie. That's an excellent point.
The president should be arrested immediately over
Yeah,
this.
just
I
because
mean,
somebody puts on a plastic badge and runs around and says, I'm a cop, or I'm a security guard, or whatever, or I'm in charge, I'm God, I have power, doesn't mean you have any sort of authority. In reality, if it violates the Constitution, it is null and void. It specifically states that in the Constitution, that
that's
laws
right.
cannot be made that violate the Constitution. And if they are made and implemented, they are illegal and unconstitutional. And it is the duty of the citizenry to not partake in that law. I mean, this
Not
is all common sense, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, I'm an extremist because I actually read the rule book that came with the country that the founding fathers gave us. I know, call me crazy. I read the instruction manual.
not just that, Popeye, but the Declaration of Independence says that whenever a government becomes destructive of the means of living a life of, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, so on and so on, that it is our right and duty to alter or abolish it and institute a new government that would be respectful of our rights. Um, I don't even know how to begin to describe uh, the severity of what's being laid out here. Section that was section 204, chemical and biological warfare. Part 3. By the way, no individual or individual appointee should ever ever have complete discretionary authority to launch chemical and biological attacks. Never. There needs to be review, there needs to be
Who
debate,
are the
there
real
needs to be
terrorists here?
discussion.
Who are the real friggin' terrorists? For
The,
real. Who are
yeah,
the real terrorists?
this is absolutely terroristic. Absolutely. So, part 3, the expansion of productive capacity and supply. Section 301, loan guarantees. Well, what we're about to read is the nationalization of every financial institution. Okay? That means the government is taking over all the financial institutions and they're going to be calling the shots and laying out the rules. Okay? Loan guarantees. A, to reduce current or projected shortfalls of resources, critical technology items, or materials essential for the national defense, the head of each agency engaged in procurement for the national defense as defined in Section 801H of this order is authorized pursuant to Section 301, blah, 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 to guarantee loans by private institutions. Each guaranteeing agency is designated and authorized to 1. Act as a fiscal agent in the making of its own guarantee contracts and in otherwise carrying out the purposes of Section 301 of the Act, and 2. Contract with any Federal Reserve Bank to assist the agency in serving as fiscal agent. So the Federal Reserve Bank will be working with and in control of the private banking institutions and, the carrying out of these contracts, these loan contracts and guarantees. Unbelievable, unbelievably disturbing.
The fact that they're going from like one end of the spectrum to the other just shows you that they're trying to control everything. They're trying to put their little greasy, greedy fingers in every little aspect to control every aspect of our lives, everything.
So yeah, they're going to be contracting with Federal Reserve banks to assist in serving as a fiscal agent. Federal Reserve is going to assist the banks in how to be a fiscal agent. Part C, terms and conditions of guarantees under this authority shall be determined in consultation with the Secretary of Treasury and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, otherwise referred to as the OMB. That's the Office of Management and Budget. Okay? Secretary of the Treasury and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget will be the authority that will be in control of the financial institutions. The guaranteeing agency is authorized following such consultation to prescribe one, either specifically or by maximum limits or otherwise, rates of interest, guarantee and commitment fees, and other charges which may be made in connection with such guarantee contracts, and two, regulations governing the forms and procedures which shall be uniform to the extent practicable to be utilized in connection therewith. They're going to be calling the shots in the economy, okay? Section 302, loans. To reduce current or projected shortfalls of resources, critical technology items, or materials essential for the national defense, the head of each agency engaged in procurement, stealing, for the national defense is delegated the authority of the president, okay? Again, they're given presidential authority, which also means they have executive immunity, by the way. They can engage in whatever kind of criminal activity they want to, and they've got the authority and immunity of the executive. So they should be delegated the authority to make loans thereunder. Terms and conditions of loans under this authority shall be determined in consultation with the Secretary of the Treasury and the Director of OMB. The government will be controlling terms and conditions of loan practices. Okay. Section 303, additional authorities. To create, maintain, protect, expand, or restore domestic industrial-based capabilities essential for the national defense, the head of each agency engaged in procurement for the national defense is delegated the authority of the President to make provision for purchases of or commitments to purchase an industrial resource or critical technology item for government use or resale, and to make provision for the development of production capabilities and for the increased use of emerging technologies in security program applications, and to enable rapid transition of emerging technologies. Control over technology. B, materials acquired under Section 301. Acquired is a nice way to say stolen or
Yeah, the Nazis
confiscated.
acquired paintings and stuff as they looted the shit out of Europe, too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, all of their acquisitions are things they're taking from people. So materials acquired under Section 303 of the Act that exceeds the needs of the programs under the Act may be transferred to the National Defense stockpile. So if they take if they take things they don't need or more than they need, they're not going to give it back to you. They're going to transfer it to the National Defense stockpile. If, in the judgment of the Secretary of Defense as the National Defense Stockpile Manager, so the Secretary of Defense will be managing our stockpiles of loot, such transfers are in the public interest. So if he says that stockpiling all of your belongings is in the public interest, that's what they're going to do. Section 304, subsidy payments. This means that They may or may not decide to give you a little bit of money for your things. If they do, they'll determine how much they're going to give you, and that's going to be that. To ensure the supply of raw or non-processed materials, okay, this is where we're talking about things that are produced outside of the United States that we may or may not have access to. To ensure the supply of raw or unprocessed materials from high-cost sources, or to ensure